welcome back to yet another beautiful episode of my Small World podcast. How have you been? Guys, it's been so long. It's been so long since I did a podcast episode, and I have missed you guys so much. I think on the two previous episodes, if you remember, if not, the episodes are still there, you can re-listen. I was talking about vlogging a lot, that I'm gonna start vlogging, blah blah blah, and I have been. I think I've really tried in that area, but the problem is because I'm a one-man show, it's so difficult to manage both of them. So I've been vlogging more and not posting episodes at all, like podcast episodes. So sorry about that, but we're just, we're figuring our way through this, and it's okay, little by little, okay? But anyway, how are you doing? How have you been? I don't think have I spoken to you guys since the year began? No. I mean, of course, if you've been watching the vlogs, they are still available on YouTube. Please go. If you've not watched my vlogs, please go watch my vlogs. The link is down below. It's in the whatever. It will be in this episode, so please go watch the vlogs. If you've been watching the vlogs, at least I guess you've seen snippets of how my year has been. Anyway, but if you've not, let me try to bring you up to speed. So how has my year been? Where was I in January? Excuse me. See, as soon as I start talking, I start to burp. That is so, I don't know. Anyway, let us try to ignore the nails. It's just we're in the process of getting rid of them, so sorry about that. Anyway, this year began, I was in the club. Actually, I went out on the first. The first found me outside, which was so good. That was something I wanted. The Christmas period of last year it felt too much for me. Like, I was just so tired, and I definitely wanted to go out. So I was very glad to do that, and I had a really good time. I had really good company. So yeah, that was nice. That's it. That's mostly about it. And I have not I partied so much that I have not been outside since then. Like, I have not gone clubbing since January. For context, I am recording this in May, so I was like, yes, yeah, one for the year and a really good one. Anyway, so yeah, I went out, I had a really good time, and yeah, that was nice. And then in February, I traveled home. I visited Nairobi, and I had a blast. Oh my god, I can't put it into words. I had an amazing time. And then, so basically for most of February I was gone, and then March I was back and was in school. Also, school has not been so bad, to be honest. I think that's a really big positive, because school takes up so much of my life. I am still a student, so anyway. But yeah, so March was in school, and actually really enjoyed my classes this semester. I had this like philosophy class that I never ever thought. It's a business ethics class. When I was taking, I took it just because it's required for the degree, but I never thought it's actually something that I would really like. I ended up actually just falling in love with it. Like, I was even considering doing taking a philosophy degree or something, but anyway, that was really nice, and it helps when you enjoy your classes. It feels so much like school life feels easier. I hope you can't hear that. The cat is just making noise. Anyway, yeah, so that is March. March was also my birthday, so that was really nice. I didn't really do much. I didn't do anything for my birthday, honestly, but I don't know. I didn't do anything for my birthday, but I would like to mention that March was my birthday month. And then April, what happened? Was there anything specific in April? Nothing much. And then that was April, and then now we're in May. I'm recording this on the 6th of May, so we're not too far from May. Let's see what May has. May, I recorded another episode of my small podcast. That's a big thing, right? Yeah, so that's my year so far in a nutshell. Yeah, how has your year been? How have things been for you? You know, what has life thrown your way this year? Chat with me, let me know how you're doing. You can always reach me on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, actually, yeah, or my email. All my contact information is down below, so do reach out to me or just say hi, whatever, you know, just say hi. Anyway, so yeah, as you can tell, I am stoked to be back. I'm so excited to be here, and today we're gonna be talking about self-love, and I feel very happy to talk about that because it is vital. It is very key, okay? So anyway, without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so as we start off, I would just like to mention that I do have my notebook and my pen here. This guy has no manners. Like, I'm so sorry for that. Always intruding, always squeezing himself everywhere. Anyway, that's the cat. Ignore him, please. Anyway. I would like to mention that I do have my notebook and my pen, and I have a few notes on my laptop just to remind me of like points, so I will be checking every now and then. Anyway, but also most importantly, this is not advice, this is not a guide or whatever. It's just me chatting to you guys about self-love and what it means and what it looks like to me. So if anything resonates, if you relate to anything, that would make me so happy. But also, if not, that's totally okay as well. There's so many other reliable resources out there. So yeah, take what I say with a pinch of salt for sure. Anyway, so let's get into it finally, guys. So what does self-love really mean? For me personally, I think self-love is one of those things that you define for yourself. Because I tried to Google, and it has so many definitions, and I think it's one of those things you define for yourself. But at its core, self-love involves self-compassion, kindness to yourself, acceptance, knowing and appreciating your worth, self-care, like getting yourself stuff, taking yourself to places you've always wanted to go, doing things for yourself that you've always wanted, you know, those things, setting boundaries for yourself, all those things. And that's why I say it can be defined in all different ways, but at its core, it has this very similar characteristics. So let me backtrack a little bit. I decided to talk about this because I remembered I forgot a very big part of my year when I was updating you. So when this year began, one of the things actually that was on my vision board is that I wanted to intentionally spend time with myself. So the way I chose to do that was to take myself on solo dates. So I have been taking myself on a little date at least once every month, and so far, let me tell you, I have been able to do that, and it's nothing too crazy, nothing too expensive. I'm not breaking the bank. It's just whatever is within my means, and that has been working so well for me. So again, if you've not been watching the vlogs, please go watch. I do get like snippets or short videos, and I give you like a background info of the dates I'm taking every month. So if you'd like to follow up with that, please go watch the vlogs. For those who've watching, you have seen them. So yeah, so in January I took myself to dinner. I went to a restaurant and I had dinner. February I did not do anything specifically for me because I was away. I was traveling. I took the whole month like a solo date. It was so rejuvenating. The whole month. Like February has been major highlight of this year. March, what did we do in March? I went to a concert actually. April, what did we do? I had a movie night at home. So yes, I'm yet to do something for May, but definitely stay tuned. And it's been I'm so happy that I get to do these things for myself. I can't even tell you. Like, I know I'm the one who will plan the date. Maybe I'll pay the ticket or whatever. But when it gets to the time of going, I'm so like, it's like a child. I'm just like, can we go? Like, I can't wait to actually get there. So yeah. Anyway, that has been a major part of my year. And yeah, anyway, so I decided to talk about it because because it is important to me, and then also because one of my friends reached out to me, and she was telling me about how we were just chatting about it, and then she just mentioned to me how, you know, sometimes you see how you can see people posting them taking care of themselves in a certain way. Like the way I post, like going out is my self-care, is my way of taking care of myself, or loving myself, or pouring into my cup. But then for her, she tried it, and at some point it just became too overwhelming because being outside, being around strangers, it was just not a thing that was for her. So she sat down with herself and, you know, tried to find something that worked for her, and she was able to decide that she actually likes gifting, and she realized that she spends so much on people and spends very little on herself. So instead of showing herself love by going out every time, she started to show herself love by getting herself gifts. Which she's happy with that. Number one, she feels happy. She feels like she appreciates herself by getting herself gifts, and she's not overwhelmed by anxiety or like just the loudness and the chaos of being in public. And I get that. So anyway, so when she told me, I was just like, I thought that was a very interesting insight, right? And also the way she was able to still decide, you know what, this is working for her, but it doesn't really work for me, but I still want to do something for myself. And she was able to find something that worked for her, right? So anyway, so yeah, that's the whole point. Like, that's why I decided to do a full video do an episode on self-love. Okay, so we've talked about what self-love means in general. So what does it really mean to me? For me, self-love looks like unlearning a lot of things. I have really had to it's like I had to write down, I didn't actually write them down, but I'm just saying, like, it's like I had to actually have a list of all the things I know and believe in my mind. And I've just gone crossing and cancelling and removing. And that was very necessary. I felt like it was very necessary for me. And so yeah, for me, most importantly, for me, self-love has really been, I don't know what, defined or characterized by unlearning. There's so many things, like, and I think for me, when did I realize, I don't think there was a specific thing that made me realize, okay, you're not pouring enough to yourself, into yourself, so you need to start now. I don't think there was I can't remember like a specific event, but I know I questioned a lot of things. Like growing up, I questioned a lot of things in my environment, and so much didn't make sense. Like so much of it didn't make sense, and I think, I guess I don't want to say so much of it was negative, but it wasn't the best, honestly. And it's not like I'm not even complaining, honestly. It's just it wasn't for me. And it wasn't for me, and I had to find something that worked for me. I had to create an environment that worked for me. I had to create an environment that worked for me, right? So yeah, for me, self-love has mainly been characterized by unlearning a lot of things, because I came to understand that also hatred is taught. Do you know, like, it's so crazy that the one person you could love without worrying that they would never reciprocate, or they would break your heart, that person is you. Like, the one person you could pour into without holding back, without fear, is you. And that's the person you least care about. That was so crazy to me. Like, it was so easy for me to disappoint myself, but disappoint others, God forbid. Like, that external, I don't know what it was, like validation, or it was so important to me that I didn't care if I was becoming someone I didn't like to be around. Yeah? So yeah, anyway, hate is taught. Loathing is taught. Your mind is not, what was it? I think it's actually a scientific fact. Like I can't remember where I read it, but like, I think I've also mentioned it in one of my previous podcast episodes. But like, your mind naturally does not, I don't know what word to use, does not process negativity. So all these things, like, these are thoughts that these are things you pick up along the way. But naturally your mind does not process negativity, does not see the negative, does not understand the negative, right? I don't know if I'm phrasing it right. I will try to find something that can help me explain that better. But yeah, hatred is taught, and so yeah, that is why, like, I think also changing my environment helped. Remember how I said how I questioned so many things in my environment. Like, I did, just so many things didn't make sense. I'm trying to think of an example, but nothing's coming to mind right now. But yeah, also, so one thing that helped with that is now being in environments that were very different from what I had always known. So for example, like going to school. School is one thing that shaped me. In primary school, in high school, and I was in boarding school my last year of primary, and my whole high school life I was in boarding. And I got to interact with so many people from so many different backgrounds, of which I'm very grateful for. Excuse me. Of which I'm very, very grateful for, that I got the opportunity to do that, because it really opened my mind. So the way that this helped me was to see that in our home, for just an example, I'd say, like, for example, in our home, I could never ask my dad, does this shirt look good? Like, we don't have a rapport like that. And I never see, or in our home, I never see mom and dad chilling and just chatting and laughing and being friends, right? These are just examples. But Nani, who is my classmate or my desk mate, is talking about how actually her parents annoy her because they are so sweet and friendly and they're such besties, right? Or they can have this type of conversations with their parents, or if something happens, I'm expecting one outcome because of like the way my environment is, and them, the same thing happens to them. They're expecting a totally different outcome because of how their setup is. So seeing these differences made me really open my mind, say that, okay, yeah, this has not really been working for me, and I am coming to understand that not everyone is like that. So I think for me that was a first step. Understanding and acknowledging that, okay, as much as this is what happens in our home or in my environment or to me, this is not how it is for everyone. So understanding that, okay, this is different, and maybe there's something wrong with that, even though I didn't really have a name for it, or like, I just understanding that, okay, I need different, I need better. Okay. Also for me, like alongside unlearning, also reparenting myself. Honestly, can I really talk about self-love without talking about my childhood? Like, it's it's very connected, and I really, don't get me wrong, I do not judge or I do not say anything out of disrespect or hatred for any of the people who raised me or were around me during as I grew up. All these people did the best they knew how to with what they had. And that's okay. That is very okay. But as I grew up, like I said, so many things did not make sense to me. And I do remember, I think, when I sat down with myself and I said, you know what, actually, for me to decide to reparent myself, I had to end my formally end my dependence on my parents. I don't know what that has to do with self-love, but for me, it felt very liberating. For me, so what do I mean by ending my dependence? I actually wrote a letter. I remember I do actually have the same letter. I have it. But I wrote a letter to my parents saying, I was very serious, very, very, I love to write. I used to write a lot. I enjoy writing in general. I enjoy writing. So writing has always been a way of me to express myself. So I did. I thought to myself, I'm like, I want to do this right. Okay. Okay. Let me rephrase that, because that would mean that they were doing it wrong. That's not what I mean. I want to do this different and in a way that works for me. Exactly. I think that's the best way to say it. I want to do this in a way that works for me. So I actually wrote a letter to my mom, and I said, to summarize it, I was saying that I understand you've done your best. I really, really do. But just because it is your best doesn't mean it didn't hurt me at some point. It didn't cause me discomfort. It really did. And I am officially deciding to do this my way. So for me, that was a very, very big part of my journey with self-love. Really taking that responsibility to be okay, we do not feel safe in this environment. We do not feel heard. We do not feel valued. I'm gonna create a space for myself where I feel safe, I feel loved, and I feel valued. I took that responsibility to upon myself, right? And then the other thing that characterizes my self-love journey is there's this, I think, I think it's called an inferiority complex. Okay, so I think, let me say, most people would know superiority complex, where you feel like literally everything revolves around you and your needs and your wants, right? Everyone should cater to your needs specifically. Like, you are superior, right? There's definitely the same attitude, but on the other extreme, and that's the inferiority complex. I just pulled up Google to help me define that word, but it's characterized by constant feelings of inadequacy, insecurity in your daily life due to a belief that you are physically or mentally inferior to others. So that kind of gives you an idea, right? Obviously, like, so now you just feel like, I will say for me, it was, there's space for everyone in this world except me. That's how it was in my mind. Why did that bring tears to my eye? Yeah, so that's how it was for me. There's literally room for everyone else. Everyone else has room and space to be themselves except me. I do not belong here. This is just not for me. I am not worth it, right? And that was, so for me, when I really started to pay attention to how I talked, like loving myself and caring for myself, I really wanted to curb that. I actually wrote in my notebook, curbing my addiction to inferiority. It felt safe to feel like nothing. It really did. It felt safe to feel like nothing and treat myself like nothing, because that's all I knew. That's all I knew. That's like, I'd never really been in environments or spaces that I was held like a very important and delicate thing. That was new. I always felt like I'm quite disposable. Like, they don't really, people's lives will move on with or without me. That is true. People's lives will move on with or without me, but I shouldn't. Now I know. Now that I'm in a very, very different stage of my self-love journey, I know that there's room for everyone. Period. There's room for everyone in this world. Okay? There's no one more deserving than me. I'm not more deserving than anyone else. I am worthy and I'm loved. Now I know better, but I'm just saying at that time. So for me, yeah, those are the key things that really define and have characterized my self-love journey for me. So unlearning a lot of things, reparenting myself and curbing my addiction to inferiority. Okay. Anyway, so let's get on with it. So my journey with self-love. Let me see what. Okay, so moving on. Our guest joins us finally. Anyway, moving on. Some of the things that I could say, just in general, about my self-love journey. Some of the things that pushed me to start, actually, besides the questioning a lot of things and knowing, like, that acknowledgement of, okay, this has not been working for me, let's try to find something, and wanting the independence. Like, for me, anyway, wanting independence. If I start going down the if I start going deep into my desire and longing for my own independence, we won't end this episode. So anyway, let me quickly skip over that. But yeah, some of the things that pushed me to start my self-love journey have been, I realized, I came to understand that I expected so much from the people around me. And it's so, I later on came to understand that it's people can't give you what they don't have. I can't give you what I don't have, right? And it's just, I remember, okay, for let me use an example. I remember recently, so for context, I have moved it throughout my childhood. We've moved quite a few times, and I have always lived around like extended family. I've always lived in a house with a big family, right? Always. So I come from a very big family as well. So anyway, but I've always been around extended family, like for long periods of time. And I remember having a conversation with my mom not so long ago, and I was just telling her, like, I came to understand that person X is someone who at some point in my life was responsible for me. They were taking care of me. I was under their care. But I came to tell my, like, to have a conversation with my mom and be like, you know what, I actually came to understand that person X could not care for me or love me because they did not know how to do that to themselves. Like, and I told her, like, while I spent time with them and around them, I heard how they spoke to themselves. For example, they would be whatever, washing dishes or whatever, and break a glass. It would be like, I wish, and I knew that would happen. I could have done this, they blamed themselves instead of being like, it's okay. Like, whether you did whatever you did, that if that glass was meant to break, it was gonna break anyway. I hope you get I hope you get the idea, right? So it's in spending time with them and spending time around them that I really understood that person X knows very little about appreciating themselves. They really talk down on themselves. They really beat themselves down. So I was really expecting so much from them, expecting them to love and care for me the way that I know, like, like the way that I want to be loved and cared for. They did not know how to give that. And while them not giving me that love and care hurt so much, there's still that part of me that gives them grace, right? That they did not know how to do that. The same way I said, like, the people who raised me and were with me as we grew up, they did the best they knew how to with what they had. And it's okay. Whether it worked or not, that was the best. And it's fine. So for me, was that understanding, and just understanding that maybe I expected so much. And this don't get me wrong, these things are not easy. It's not easy to tell yourself, and this is just another example. It's not easy to tell yourself, mom doesn't love me because she doesn't know how to love herself. It's not easy to actually grow up with a mom that doesn't love you. That is just an example. My mommy loves me so much. That is just an example. But I'm telling you, like, it's not easy to accept that truth, but it gives you so much peace, right? And for me, at some point, I actually felt like if I accepted that person X, fine, they didn't know how to love themselves and care for themselves, so they did not love or care for me, I'll be disregarding the hurt that they've caused me. It's like I'll be saying my anger and my expectation of love for them was pointless. And it was not. I think for me, I have normalized that these two feelings and these two clashing emotions, they can exist at the same time. I can be upset at person X for, like, you are responsible for me. You are the adult. You are supposed to take care of me. You are supposed to guide me. You are supposed to protect me, but you did not. And at the same time, I can look at them and be like, nobody taught you how to do that. Nobody did that to you. So you only passed on what you know, right? You only passed on the pain and the trauma and the hurt that you know, right? So it's okay for these things to exist together. That is, such is life, honestly, because there's no one specific way of looking at something, at life. Like, there's so many different angles to think about it, right? Anyway, so that was one thing. Okay, I'm such a yappa, I can talk. This was one point. It's already 6 minutes. Anyway, let's continue. For me as well, one thing that really pushed me to really start taking care of myself, self-love for me, was rebellion. I've written in my self-love is a rebellion. Self-love for me was rebellion. And I'm sure, I think I can almost bet, at least for all the ladies and girls and women who would listen and watch this video, especially if you're African, you're familiar with being brought up to show love in form of service. Like, deny yourself, deny yourself, see yourself as insignificant. That is humility. That is what the Lord wants you to do. That is your purpose on earth, to serve and be a good whatever to our male whatever. Right? So I grew up around the same environment. I watched all the way from my grandmother. I met a great grandma of mine, but I didn't spend much time around her. But anyway, all the way from my grandmother to my mom, to my aunts, to my elder sister. Like, it was a thing that I saw. Like, put yourself last. You're the last of the line. You serve everyone else. You give. It doesn't matter if anyone gives you back or cares. Like, you just give. That's the Christian thing to do, right? And for me, that worked for some time, because you're doing it believing that it's for a good cause, that you're gonna walk the narrow path to the Lord, to enter the golden gates and receive your eternal reward. And sweetie, for me, that changed the moment I clocked it in my mind. I was like, you know what? There's actually no fucking pot of gold at the end of the rainbow of nothingness. You deny yourself. Imagine, remember I said these are just my personal opinions and experiences. Personally, I do not believe that there's a reward for denying yourself. I don't believe that, and I don't think it should be that way. I'm not saying be selfish, be mean, be greedy. No. There's definitely a distinction, but you're human too. You're human too. Like, who's gonna take care of you? You are responsible for yourself. You're an adult. You're a grown-up person. You should be able to take care of yourself. Like, if you're in a okay, how do I say it nicely? Like, for me, it didn't make sense, and that's why I'm saying, for me, self-love was a rebellion. Like, let me repeat the statement I've said. There's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow of nothingness. That's a line I actually stole from a poem. I listen to a lot of poems and like spoken word, and so honestly, for me, I don't even remember where I left off, but anyway. So for me, self-love was definitely an act of rebellion, and it's not just because our society is extremely patriarchal and oppressive. It's also just in like our home setting, our little home setting. I was a child who was so desperate for my parents' approval. Yani, I just wanted to be told, good girl. Yani, umefanya smart. And I just wanted someone to... Those are the things I just wanted to hear. I just wanted to hear my mom talk about how I'm such a good daughter, and like I was so desperate for that validation. So I was the golden child. Beautiful grades, beautiful manners. Like I did what I was told. I was mischievous in my own ways, of course, because a child is a child. Honestly, it's just a part of them. I guess in some ways, yes, I was mischievous, but mostly I really tried to do what I was told. Like I really played by the rules, and so things turned around for me when after high school. And what was it? I can't even remember what happened. But then you slowly just come to realize, and I'm just like, this is fucking bullshit. Why am I always like, okay, wait, don't get me. Let me rephrase that. I'm so sorry. Let me backtrack and rephrase that again. No attack on any of the people. I have so much respect for the people who raised me, but this is just my perspective, my POV of the story, right? This is just my POV of the story. So when I remember after, I think, yeah, it was after high school, I was just like, this is BS. Like, why have I always, I can't remember what it is that happened, but I felt so betrayed. I felt so betrayed because I've always tried to get my parents' approval, my parents' validation, my guardians, because I was raised by my guardians at some point in life. Like I always just wanted them to keep telling me how good of a kid I was. And when that didn't come, when I didn't get that, I felt so cheated and so betrayed. It really fucked with me, right? It really messed me up. And so I also realized that it's not, so I have older siblings and I have cousins around me, and I just watched at how life unfolded for them in our little household, and I was like, no, is in this house you'll never do enough. They'll never be okay or satisfied. They'll never be 100%. Like, you could break your back, you could break all your bones, you could choke yourself and give them all the air in your lungs. You could remove every hair on your head. Like, you could do everything, but it would just never be enough. And for me, that's when I said, fuck this. So yes, to sum it up, for me, self-love was and still is definitely an act of rebellion for me. Anyway, to continue, I think for me also, I was very tired of being a victim. I was very, very tired of playing the victim card. Oh, they didn't care for me. Oh, they treated me like this. Oh, they talked to me like this. Oh, they said this about me. Maybe they actually did. And it most likely hurt my feelings. And that is very, very valid, okay? That is very valid. But for how long? For how long will I sit there? It's so... And I have spoken about this again in one of my... At least, I think even more than one anyway. That victim mentality, I think mostly it validates your pain, right? It tells you, you know what, it's true, they hurt you, and it is true, but they don't owe you anything. They really kind of, honestly, they really don't owe you anything. Whether they are your parents, whether they are your siblings, whether they're your friends, whether they are your partners, whether they're your colleagues, they really, honestly, I'm telling you, they don't owe you anything. It is very, very difficult to hear that. It is even more difficult to accept. But once you make peace with that, seamless. It makes things so much easier for you. And yeah, I was just really fucking tired of being the victim. I'm so sorry, I cuss a lot. Anyway. But yeah, I was just tired of playing victim. And for me, it's not because I think I stayed there for too long. Like I said, I needed my pain to be validated. I really needed someone to look at me and say, I see you're hurting. Like, it is valid. I had had so many times where my pain was minimalized. Like, I had something small. That's what pissed you off. You are sensitive. Like I had so much, it's like so much of being, like my pain was so minimized. And I just needed to keep amplifying it. That was me fighting for my justice, Like, okay, maybe I'm using very complicated words. Maybe it's not that deep, but it is for me. It was, that was my way. Playing victim and sitting in that victim chair and drowning in that victim pool. That was my way of telling myself, it is okay. Like, these people hurt you and they need to at least acknowledge it. But I guess along the way, it just, like I said, I just realized and accepted that these people don't owe me anything. And then I realized nothing's gonna change if I sit in that victim pool. So yes, they bullied me, but then yes, they didn't love me, but then yes, they told me they hate me, they would be better off without me. But then if I sit there, I'm giving them all the power. Right? If I sit and I'm so sorry, like, I don't mean to sound like it's not easy. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you, I don't know how to put it. Like, the last thing I want is to minimize your experience and what you feel, right? But I just hope you get to a point where you understand that you owe yourself happiness and freedom. Release yourself from, oh, he said this, I wish he pays, oh, he did this to me, I will never forgive him. Those things tie you down and you don't realize it, but that hatred, and that, because that is hatred, you holding on to that, what they did, what they told you, what they didn't give you, what they gave you, like holding on to those things, they are negative things. There's no way I'll hold on to poison and open my hand like this and it's a rose flower. There's no way. It's gonna be poison. It's gonna stay poison. I could hold this hand like this for 10 years, for 15. It's gonna still be poison. So these things really tie you down. So I guess I'm just saying, get to a point where you just release, let go for free yourself. So for me, I was very tired of being a victim. And as we are coming towards the end of this video or this episode, I guess we'll go through some truths that I have picked up or I have learned. They're obvious truths about self-love, right? So, number one, definitely, it's not easy. It's not a snap of a finger, it's not light work. It's honestly one of them. I think looking inward has definitely been one of the most difficult things to do. I remember not so long ago, actually, as I was just like, I talk to myself a lot. I mean, can you tell? I'm such a yapper. Anyway, I talk to myself a lot, and I was just having a conversation with me, the wise one. I was just saying, like, I think one of the hardest things for me to accept was that I was a danger to my own self. Like, I was hurting myself. I was speaking so lowly of myself. Like, I was was actually hurting myself. Yes, I'll sit here thinking, oh, the boys who bullied me in class 4 made me believe, but I'm the one who has continued that narrative. I'm the one who has repeated to myself over and over and over and over again that I'm ugly, I'm ugly, I'm ugly, I'm ugly. So now, how many years later, 10, 7, whatever years later, I'm sitting here crying because I feel ugly. I'm like, no, that narrative, it's ni mimi nimeendeleza, right? It's me who has spoken that to myself over and over and over again, even though it was not initially introduced by me, right? So yeah, it's not easy. It is not easy. The shadow work, the looking inward, the self-reflection, the soul searching, the really understanding. They say make friends with your demons. That, like, it is not easy. But it is so worth it. It is so worth it. Has been the most rewarding thing. Has been the most rewarding thing for me, honestly. And yeah, so that's the truth. Number 1 is that don't expect it to be easy. And some days will be really hard. But you know what? I also realized I can't really say at there's starting and stopping. You can't start and stop your healing journey. Let me tell you, even though you go through lows, once you decide, I think for me, what I've noticed, once you make that decision that I'm gonna be working on myself, number 1, not every day will feel like you're working on yourself. Some days will actually feel like you don't even know who you are, like you want to be so far removed and not even associated with yourself. Like, some days will feel like that. But I want to tell you that in those days, you even acknowledging that is you still caring for yourself, you being present for yourself in those moments. That's still, so the healing journey just never stops. It looks like waves and sideways and deep holes and really high highs. It looks like so many different things, but it just, once you start it doesn't stop. And it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding. It really is. At least, like, I don't know. I have not heard anyone who's said they really started to care for themselves and appreciate themselves and really see their value and worth, and they ended up regretting it. You know, you become such a boss. It's so sexy, actually. Like, let me tell you, like, the other day, I don't know, what did I get myself? Oh, I have like a ring light and like a stand and tripod and a Bluetooth speaker, blah blah. These are things I had wanted, right? And I kept telling myself, I'll get myself these things. So when I made that purchase, I was like, damn, you mean I can just tell myself nataka na nijipe? Like I can tell myself I want this and I can make that happen. Like, it's so okay, I've used very materialistic examples, but you get it. Like, it's so boss, babe. And I'm like, you mean I've got my shit? You mean I've got my own bag? Watch away. It's so, I don't know, it's so healing, it's so fulfilling, it's so satisfying. Anyway, so yeah, that's one. And so on the I think for me, the biggest thing I've had to remind myself over and over and over and over again. Remember when we defined self-love, we said, yes, there's many definitions for it. You can define it as whatever it looks like to you, but at its core, it has very similar characteristics like kindness and acceptance and self-compassion. For me, the one I've had to really hold on to was compassion. I always remind that's the one thing I've held on to. So you see how we're saying that self-love can look like so many different things. Like, it's wavy, it's mountains and valleys, it's a deep ditch, it's a very high cloud. Like, it can look like all these things. On those very low moments, you really need to be compassionate and kind to yourself. You really need to remember that you are trying your best. Even if that day you don't feel like it, you are enough. You are doing the best for yourself with whatever you have in that moment, and that is enough. So self-compassion for me has been one thing that I've really had to, it's always ringing at the back of my head, even, you know, like, and whether I've done something that other people agree with or they don't agree with, whether they don't like it, whether they don't think it's good, yes, I will consider all your opinions and all your many inputs on my actions, but before that, before you start consuming any or listening to any of the noise around you, let that inward voice be very powerful and strong, telling you that it's okay. Like, it's okay to do, you did the best, okay? You did your best, and it's okay. And even on the days where you're feeling like you've not done your best, like, please be gentle with yourself. It's one thing that has really changed, like, my whole way of thinking. These days, I remember, I don't know who I was talking to, and I was thinking about it, and I said, like, regret is actually something that I completely eliminated from my life. Like, and that doesn't mean that every time I'm right, and I mean I'm right most of the times, but that doesn't mean that I never make mistakes or whatever. It just, for me, I associated regret with a lot of shame. Like, when I did things that I was not proud of, like, or that I wish I hadn't done, I used to attach so much shame, and I would attack myself before anyone attacks me. I'd have tortured myself enough. And so when I say I have eliminated regret, is that I'm able to really sit with myself and be like, okay, we did that, or we said that, it affected Nani and Nani like this, and maybe we could have done better, but you know what? In that moment, we were looking out for ourselves. It doesn't make the action right, but it's gonna help me move forward with compassion. Like, I'm gonna treat myself with, I'm not gonna apologize just because I feel guilty or just because I feel ashamed, or I'm gonna apologize because I've actually made peace with myself and been like, okay, yeah, that was probably a very shitty thing to do or say. And then I'm gonna actually feel remorse because I acknowledge that, hey, that's not me. That's not someone I want. Like, that's not something I want to represent. I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope it does. Okay, yeah, so I think for me the other thing would be really understanding that everyone's journey is very unique. Everyone's journey is very different and very unique. And if you've hung out around me or if you've listened to the previous podcast episodes, this is something I've said over and over again. It never gets old, and I promise you it's so true. It's not easy to not compare, let me tell you. At least for me, I don't know. The pressure creases. The pressure can crease real bad. But just, you really have to remind yourself that your journey is very unique. And it doesn't matter how far you've come with whoever. Whether you've always done things together, whether... It does not matter when it comes to things like healing and growth and self-love. Your journey is very unique, okay? And you need to honor that, and you need to acknowledge that. Yeah, so besides comparison and all that, what else would I say? The cat is distracting me. I'm so sorry. Okay, I have talked until now I'm sleepy. Just, okay, God. This talent has to make me money, buana. I cannot just be yapping in my room. It has to translate into some shillings. Hey. Anyway, The other thing I would say I have learned about self-love, let me see, I think that's basically it. And do it for you. I guess that's the other thing, like, you owe it to yourself. Do it for you. Don't do it because Nyeche has sat on your screen for God knows how many minutes telling you about her journey. Don't do it because so and so the YouTuber or so and so the Instagram influencer or so and so is doing it and they look good doing it. Don't do it because of them. Do it for you. Okay? Do it for you. Anyway, so I mentioned somewhere at the beginning that one of the ways that I have been showing myself love this year has been to intentionally spend time with myself. So besides the dates, I have been like, let me see, what are some of the other things that I have been doing to pour into myself and how have they felt, right? So for me, the dates have been so rewarding. And then I forgot to mention that I not only just go for the dates, like I also like bring my journal with me. So while I'm at the date or wherever it is I'm going that day, depending on whatever activity we're doing that day, somewhere, either when I'm at home or before I sleep, I'm so sorry, that's a cat. Whether I sleep or whether it's before I sleep or at some point during that day, I will sit with myself to check in and be like, hey, how are you feeling? How has this month been? Is there anything you're looking forward to? If yes, what is it? If no, why is that? And just kind of gauge where we are. Checking in with myself has been very, very important. And even on those days when I'm not able to journal, because I'm not going to lie to you, I think journaling, first of all, I think journaling is very, very powerful. But I'm gonna be honest, I usually don't have the strength for it every day. That's something that I'm working through. But even on the days where I'm not able to actually sit down and journal, I sit on my bed and just stare at the ceiling and just check in with myself, be like, okay, so how has today been? Today has been blah blah blah. Like, checking in with myself has been such a big thing for me, because I think also before starting my working on myself and appreciating myself, I realized I used to just push a lot of things under the rug. So when I'm doing those check-ins, I'm able to really open that rug and be like, okay, so who's under there today? What did we push aside today? Do we want to talk about it? If not, why? Let's get through it, So there's barely anything underneath my rug, I can say, because I do check in with myself, and that has really, really helped, right? So yeah, the checking in with myself, the journaling, doing my nails. I have been really enjoying doing my nails. I know don't believe me right now, but I promise I have been doing it. But anyway, it's just one of those things that I always wanted when I was little, and when I got to be an adult and be in charge of my own finances, it was a thing that I prioritized, and it made me happy, so I kept doing it, right? The other thing for me has been food. So for me, growing up, and these are just like small basic things, so you can take whatever, this is just me, okay? So for me, food, growing up, I used to be forced to eat. I did not enjoy food, it just didn't get me like that, honestly. And so as I've grown up, even I'm sure someone who knows me in my adulthood is wondering, what is this girl talking about that she doesn't like food? Because now I'm such a foodie. I love food. But the way I have used food to heal myself is I make food that I enjoy. Unajua, when you're growing up, in your home where you don't cook or you don't even buy the groceries, let me tell you, your mom is gonna make you aware that you made zero contribution to that dinner, so you're gonna eat what they've put for you. And I'm so grateful that there was always food. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm so grateful that there was something, right? But I just most of the times I was just like, guy, for the 60th time, kwani ugali again? Oh my god, njahe is one thing I cannot, it won't even go past my throat because I ate it so much growing up. So anyway, food is one of the ways I've been able to heal myself. I make food that I enjoy, I honor my cravings. Whether they're healthy or not, that's a story for another day, but just paying attention to my body and my needs, right? What are other ways that I've been loving and pouring in myself? Saying no, setting boundaries for myself, and the big one that I've been really practicing a lot this year is removing myself from situations that don't make me feel good about myself. You don't need to have like a very solid reason. Like, you don't need someone to come and beat you, like slap you and be like, well, I'm not going back there because they beat me. It's just, if it doesn't feel right for you, why are you doing it? Like, what's the point? There's really no point. Imagine there's no reason to vumilia. Like, really weigh your reasons. I listened to a video by Maya Angelou, one of the interviews she did back then, and she said, if you don't like it, change it. If you can't change it, change the way you think about it. It's as simple as that. So that has really been big for me this year. Anyway, besides that, setting boundaries for myself. It's just in the simple little things. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm genuinely so tired of talking. Like, I'm even getting sleepy. Like, this is insane. I'm here thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, hope I've not bored them. Hope they're not so bored and tired with me. I hope I've not just been saying nonsense. But anyway, I really hope at least one thing resonates, and I've been able to cover everything. Like, we've finished and I've flipped the page, and I'm so happy that we got to have this conversation. Thank you so much if you've made it to this point. Thank you so much. And let me know if this is something you would like me to keep doing, like the visual podcast episodes, because I've only been doing audio only. I was more comfortable with the audio only, I'm not gonna lie, but times are changing and I guess I have to change with the times. So yeah, so anyway, let me know if this is something you enjoy, if this is something you would want to see more of, and also if you have something in mind that you'd like me to talk about, or you'd want to talk to me about, reach out to me, please. I would love to hear from you. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Like I told you, all my contact information is down below. And I love you so much, so much. If you've made it to this point, you have the patience of a saint. You're amazing, and thank you so much. And I hope you've enjoyed, right? I really hope it has not been painful. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'm blowing you kisses. I love you so much, and stay tuned. Come back for another episode or another vlog. You would tell me what you're feeling, right? I'm doing this for you guys. Remember to always be kind, gentle, and loving to yourself, because if you do not, no one will.